is my mission?
A secret program called the Source Code will send you back in time to relive the last 8 minutes of a passenger's life on that train. Find the bomb, and you'll find the bomber.
Well, last time you and I talked was at South by Southwest for Moon.
That's
we
right.
We were down there for that, which was just fabulous, and it's, and so now we're following up with another one, kind of in that sci-fi genre. And when we talked about Moon, we mentioned that you seem to have this really keen insight and heart for the sci-fi genre to make it really cool and kind of have the throwback to the old school way of doing it. Are you worried about getting now typecasted as the sci-fi guy, or you just love this genre so much you just...
I will do after the next film, because it'll be 3 sci-fi in a row.
Right.
But no, I'm not worried about getting typecast. I mean, I think there are definitely sci-fi elements in Source Code, but it's a contemporary thriller, I would say. There's definitely, there's sci-fi in it, but it's a contemporary thriller. So for me, there's a pretty wide spectrum in what can be science fiction. I think Moon was maybe more hard sci-fi. I think this would be kind of in a gray area between hard and soft. So yeah, I think time travel as a subject matter is something a little bit nebulous. You can kind of see how the world might evolve to a place where you're building mining facilities on the moon. As far as how time travel works, I haven't quite worked out. I understand the theory of time travel. I don't quite know how we get from now to a point where we can achieve time travel.
You can't actually do it yet.
I personally cannot do it other than on film.
What would you do if you knew you had less than 8 minutes to live?
I'd make those seconds count. Welcome back, Evan.
I was unable to find the bomber.
We've been informed there'll be another attack in 6 hours. If you find the bomber, the next attack can be prevented. As always, you will have 8 minutes.
But as far as what appealed to me about the script, looking back on it now, I can see the similarities with Moon. But when I first read it, I was only seeing the differences, and that's what excited me. More than one actor, that was a good thing. More than one location, another good thing. So no, that's what kind of excited me, and now looking back on it, I can see that there was kind of a thematic similarity. The person who pointed it out to me was Paul Hirsch, who's my editor on Source Code. Paul Hirsch is this amazing Hollywood legend. You may have heard of Empire Strikes Back. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, maybe. He won an Oscar for Ray. He did the first Mission Impossible film, and I think he's doing the new Mission Impossible film as well. He really is a legend in the industry, and it was like going back to film school, having the chance to work with him as my editor. But he was the one who picked up on it fairly early on in the editing process, and I sort of sulked a little bit. I was like, oh, I thought I was doing something totally different. But no, he's an amazing guy, and he was the one who pointed that out to me.
It's the same train, but it's different.
You're kind of freaking me out.
I want to go back in. I'm going to save her.
You can't. It doesn't work that way.
Christina is dead.
As soon as Jake and I were on the same page about what we wanted to do with the script, the original script took itself quite seriously. It felt like an episode of 24 at times, and I was the one who said, look, we really got to inject some humor into this and lighten it up. Once we all agreed on that, then I just started graphing it. I started building a chart saying, okay, so these are all the revisits we have to do. This is the way that we can ensure that every time we differentiate it and it doesn't force the audience to watch the same thing again. So it was fairly clinical in the way I approached that. And then once I had worked out what all those differences were going to be and how we were going to avoid repetition, then we could be much more organic and improvisational when we were actually shooting it.
Source Code.
I mean, I surrounded myself with Paul Hirsch in editing and Dom Burgess on cinematography. I'm not going to tell them how to do their jobs, and that's the same with my actors as well. I'm not going to tell them how to do their jobs. I'm going to make suggestions, and if I think something's not working, I'm going to point it out and try and steer them. But actors are good at what they do, so I let them do it. Well, there's a very, very practical difference between the look, the sort of the texture of that footage. We shot on 2 different camera formats. We shot on 35mm for the stuff on the train, and then in the lab environment, and then we shot on the red camera for what we call the pod, which is sort of an environment where Coulter finds himself in between missions. I really wanted to work with Jake. I had been talking about working with him on something, and he was the one who gave me the source code script and said, I think maybe this should be the one. So no, and then the rest of the cast on source code. I mean, Jeffrey Wright, Vera Farmiga, and Michelle Monaghan, all amazing actors in their own rights. And to have an ensemble like that, it really makes my job very easy.
Sean! Get back!